Imagine two kids, same town, same school, same grades. One grows up to retire by 40, the other works until 70 and still struggles to pay rent. The difference between them has almost nothing to do with luck, intelligence, or even income. It comes down to one conversation that happens in some homes and never happens in others. Most people spend their whole lives without ever hearing it. And by the time they realize what they missed, decades are already gone. This isn't about trust funds. It isn't about inheritance. Most wealthy parents don't hand their kids money, they hand them something far more valuable and far less visible. If you've ever wondered why some families seem to multiply their wealth across generations, while others stay stuck no matter how hard they work, the answer is uncomfortable. But once you understand it, you can't unsee it. And by the end of this video, you'll know exactly what that secret is and how to start using it yourself, starting today. Let's start with a number that surprises almost everyone. The average lottery winner who receives $1 million is often broke again within 5 to 7 years. Meanwhile, families with generational wealth can lose almost everything in a crisis and rebuild it within one generation. That tells us something important. Money itself isn't the asset. The way someone thinks about money is the asset. Here's where it gets interesting. Picture a middle-class household earning $4,000 a month. Rent takes $1,200. Groceries take $500. A car payment takes $400. By the time bills are paid, there's maybe $300 left, and that $300 usually goes to something fun. Because after a hard month, you deserve a reward, right? Now picture a wealthy household. Same income, same bills, but before anything else happens, $400 moves into an investment account automatically, the same day the paycheck arrives. They never see that money long enough to spend it. That's not because rich people have superhuman willpower. It's because they were taught a rule middle-class families almost never hear: pay yourself before you pay anyone else. But that's only part of the story. The real difference isn't just what happens with money. It's what happens in conversations at the dinner table. In many households, money is treated like a taboo subject, something private, stressful, even shameful to talk about. Kids grow up hearing phrases like, "We can't afford that," or "Money doesn't grow on trees." These phrases aren't lies, but they quietly teach a belief. Money is scarce, and money is stressful. In wealthier households, the conversation sounds completely different. Kids hear things like, "How can we afford that?" Or, "What would it take to make that happen?" Same financial reality, completely different mindset being installed. And mindset, it turns out, is contagious across generations. Here's a story that makes this obvious. Two brothers grow up in the same house. One becomes a doctor earning $220,000 a year. The other becomes an electrician earning $70,000 a year. 10 years later, the electrician has more net worth than the doctor. How is that possible? The doctor was taught to chase income. Bigger salary, bigger house, nicer car. The electrician was taught something different by an uncle who quietly built wealth through property. He was taught to chase ownership, not income. While the doctor's paycheck increased, so did his expenses. While the electrician's paycheck stayed modest, his assets kept growing in the background. Assets that paid him whether he worked or not. This is the part most people completely miss. Wealthy families don't just save money. They acquire things that produce money: rental properties, shares of businesses, dividend-paying investments. Meanwhile, many middle-class households accumulate things that cost money: new cars, the latest phone, upgraded furniture. Both families might spend the exact same amount each year, but one family's spending builds a machine that keeps generating income. The other family's spending disappears the moment it's used. This single distinction, assets that pay you versus liabilities that drain you, is often the entire difference between staying stuck and becoming wealthy. But here's where it gets even more surprising. Even when middle-class families do manage to save money, something strange usually happens. The moment the savings account reaches a comfortable number, they feel safe and they stop. The money sits there, slowly losing value to inflation, never being put to work. Wealthy families treat savings completely differently. To them, cash sitting still isn't safety. It's a missed opportunity. So the moment they have spare money, they ask one question most people never ask: what can this money go buy that will pay me back? That single question, repeated for 20 or 30 years, is the quiet engine behind almost every multi-generational fortune. And then, something even more unexpected happens. Wealthy parents don't just teach this mindset through words. They teach it through exposure. Their kids see investment statements. They sit in on conversations about real estate deals. They watch a parent calmly handle a financial setback instead of panicking. This is something psychologists call financial modeling, and it works almost like a second language. A child raised around financial conversations absorbs comfort with money, the same way a child raised in a bilingual home absorbs a second language without even trying. Meanwhile, a child raised in financial silence often grows into an adult who feels anxious just opening a bank app, not because they're irresponsible, because nobody ever showed them the rules of the game. This explains something fascinating. Studies on self-made wealthy individuals, people with no inheritance at all, consistently show one shared trait. At some point, usually in their 20s, they found a mentor, a book, or an experience that rewired how they thought about money. They didn't inherit wealth. They inherited a new way of thinking, just from a different source. Which means the wealth secret isn't actually locked behind family bloodlines. It's locked behind exposure. And exposure can be earned at any age, starting today. So here's where everything comes together. The families who build lasting wealth don't necessarily earn more. They don't take wild risks. They simply operate using a different operating system. Pay yourself first, acquire assets instead of liabilities, put spare money to work instead of letting it sit still, and normalize talking about money instead of fearing it. None of these ideas require a fortune to start. A person earning $40,000 a year who automatically saves and invests just 10% every month, roughly $300, is already following the same blueprint as families worth millions. The amount is different. The system is identical. This is the hidden truth most people never hear in time. Wealth isn't mainly inherited through money. It's inherited through habits, conversations, and beliefs passed quietly across the dinner table, and anyone, from any background, can choose to install that same operating system in their own life, starting with their very next paycheck. The families who break the cycle aren't the ones who suddenly get lucky. They're the ones who simply decide, on one ordinary day, to think about money differently than they were taught, and then never go back. So tell me, which one of these habits did your family teach you? And which one are you going to start teaching yourself? Drop it in the comments below.